Hello from Minsk. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about guarantees and let's start with the definition.
Guarantees usually is a legal agreement when one party would take from another, from person or organization, responsibility for the debt or for the job to be done. For example, if you want to go to the tender to build a road for government, then they would ask you to take guarantee from the bank. For example, take 4% guarantee for for 25 years. If this road would be broken, but any natural causes like wind or rain or something which is usual, then those money would be used to repair this road, even if you do not want to do this. But okay, if you want, you could use also those money to make guarantee repairing. But if something happened and you would go and will say, I deny to do this, this money would be transferred to another. Or for example, you are taking my job offer and you will ask, okay, what is your guarantees? I now would quit my job and then I will join your team. But if something happen, what will you do? And for example, I will tell you, okay, I will give you golden parachute. For example, you will be granted 3 months salary in advance. By the way, you're right now in Minsk, and it was a very sad story. I was working in Ukraine, and I have a business which name was BTech, Bright Technologies, and I was working for American companies, and I couldn't find some people who are able to write on language RP3 and work with AS4. And I found the team in Minsk especially, and I came there and I hired 5 people and everything was going well. But then it was a financial disaster crisis of 2008, and those people who quit their company was unable to be on board in mine. It was a very terrible situation. So just storm on the financial markets swept our deal away, and they didn't ask for guarantees. I am lucky not to pay them, but from other point of view, I was looking like a fraudster.
And if we want to speak about, like ensuring that if there is like any damage or the deal will go wrong, we probably would look for the third party to be like a man in the middle and, like guarantee this, so that in this party, you would probably, what you look first is the credibility. And this immediately reminds me, why do I like the taxi services? Because there was one situation in my life when, like one of the dark night in the Siberia, when I was returning from the trip, I sit on the taxi and apparently got like a story from the people inside that, like I have to pay per kilometer, and given that I was carrying the bag, like with some like documents from Federal Treasury, was tired, etc. That, like it ended up well for me. But I remember now that every time I use, let's say, even this third-party service, at least I know like who's the credible, and at least I know that there will be some sort of like a thing. And if we actually want to look for like a third party, like what kind of things we need to consider before step into the deal?
Let's give me several examples. It would be much clearer in that way. It was a huge earthquake in Japan one time, and before government officials came and start to do something, yakuza of 2 clans from 3, they offered their help, their soldiers, their office, and even their food and money to people who was suffering. And it was a very huge gesture of genuinity. Second, it could be observed from theory of games, which we conduct in School of Troubleshooter as a separate skill. When you live in Italy, it's quite often you would summon mafia to be guarantee on the topic. For example, you are trying to sell me like olive oil and I'm trying to pay you, and the mafia would take from both of us for 5%, and it will secure the deal, and it would be like a pledge. If my oil would be bitter or my money would not be enough to cover my expenses, then mafia would solve it in their way. Then let's move to Middle East and remind or recall so-called caravans, when people, for example, 10 traders would split up all goods which was carried by camels, and if the camel would die, or caravan would be disappeared in the sands, or even merchant would, for example, die, then everything would be divided, and his family and his ancestors would get their cut in any way.
And if, let's say, we, like have this third party and we want to the deal, like move forward, probably there might be, I would say, some people who or people or bodies who still want to, like break the guarantees. And for that, there's also should be not only, like man in the middle mechanism, but something else. It could be, for example, like jurisdictions or sanctions, or maybe it could be the deal could be itself could be fragmented to certain people, for certain pieces. So what's those mechanics or maybe something else would help to prevent, to make sure that the deal is actually guaranteed or the task will be performed well?
It's sadly, but everything works just in BAO, in business as usual. For example, when I have been to Africa, especially Ghana, it was a very huge pandemic, and a lot of people were died, and a lot of corpses were burned out, and some people wouldn't get their salary, and they will just throw away all belongings, and they flew home because they have two chances, or to stay and fulfill the papers, and maybe they would get guarantees promised by United Nations, or they will just survive. So this was first example. And second, when you will have something like thunderstorm or something like this in the huge city, and a lot of branch of the tree would fall on the cars, suddenly those companies would ask government, okay, let's do it like a force majeure, so no one would pay to anyone. And the same would be maybe from Twin Towers in the New York. Do you remember? Just one of them was under insurance, but their two were destroyed. So it was quite a rare occasion and quite a low probability. But sometimes when the damage is huge, when the impact is fearless, then guarantees would be withdrawn.
And there's also might be one good guarantee is someone's name and word. And if you want to be that person, or we just want to at least want to be that person or move closer to that, what and how we should think and how we should act with it, whether it's like a short game or it's like a very long term. And I know my question is kind of a cheesy, but probably we can look into some, I would say, unusual aspect of this, like when your word weighs a ton.
I would give you an example which damaged my reputation and my life a lot. It was like 2003, and I was asked by my partner in Ukrainian National Antivirus to grant $1 million, and I was like a collateral, поручитель.
Collateral, yeah.
And I was like collateral because it was for his part of the company. I was responsible for international business, and he was responsible for domestic one. And I was just signing the paper like a collateral, and for my signature, those money were granted. And then my partner was killed. And people came to me and say, okay, we don't want to shake his family and his wife, which are alive, but we will shake you, and you're responsible. Your word is worth 1 million. And then it was quite hard. So I was a guarantee, and then I know the damage, how to be kind to other people.
Well, yeah, sometimes collateral damage comes with a huge responsibility than one could expect. And then my last question will be how knowing about guarantees would help to make this world a better place.
Sometimes when I do deals in business, I ask for guarantee because it could be that they cost nothing, but sometimes they are expensive and I would refuse. It was a time we were creating like data warehouse and some IT infrastructure for Alpha Capital in Ukraine. And there were a tender, and three companies were fighting against each other about who would provide us telecommunication. It was Avaya, Siemens, and something else. and Norton maybe, but I couldn't remember. And then finally they offered almost the same price. I don't know, maybe it was like a shadow agreement, but they all do the same price. And I was head of this committee, and I was asking, okay, let's give us a representative and we will talk. And I have 5 people on my back, and I have 3 people in front of me, and I was thinking how to choose company which will be paid to provide us PIBX system and so on. And then I ask everyone, okay, which guarantee will you do? And all companies will say, okay, like 2 years. And I was just thinking, okay, how to choose? Almost the same price, almost the same guarantee. And suddenly I asked them, okay, who could someone do more? And 2 of those guys were told me like, okay, we should ask our head office and maybe. And suddenly one man among them told, okay, on my word, I would give you a guarantee for 3rd year, and I wouldn't ask to anyone. And I thought, okay, you are the winner.
And yeah, as you said, in multiple skills, it's always good to have like additional dimensions. And we review the skill of guarantees and how it could be helpful for you. Stay in peace.